Alright guys, welcome back to another video. It's your boy Banlist, and today I will be profiling my second variation of my Blue Eyes build. This is more of like a trap fusion control. You are running a lot of traps, and while still being able to consistently get out that Blue Eyes on the field. I've taken this deck to a couple locals. I've been doing better and better every time, just because I'm still getting like familiar with what combos I should play when, and yeah, this deck is really great at setting up your field with a bunch of negates, a bunch of high attack powered monsters, and it's meant to like control the tempo of the game, right? It's meant to stop your opponent from doing anything during their turn, essentially, and it does a really good job of that. Um, with that being said, I won't keep you waiting. Let's go on to the main deck. Alright guys, and to get started with the main deck, we are going to be running 3 vanilla Blue Eyes White Dragon. 3 just because we are also maxing out on True Light, and because we do have the double fusion deployment, and the 3 Dragon Ravines. So getting this out of your hand and into the field or in the graveyard is not a problem in this deck. So even if you draw multiples like on your first starting hand, it won't be a problem. The first real big change from the last deck profile is that we are only running 1 Jet Dragon here. Still really good, right? You still get the card protection, and you still get to bounce back during the battle phase. So, and just 1 because it is really recyclable. Yeah. And now we do have 3 White Stone of Ancients. Pretty standard for me. I will probably never change this ratio of the Blue Eyes and the Ancients. I like this one better than the other card just because we can, if need be, we can summon the Jet instead of the regular Blue Eyes. With the White Stone of Legend, it has to be the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and you get it in your hand. So, for the last set of monsters, we have 3 Dogmatica. We have the Ecclesia, we have the other guy, and Maximus. Now, Maximus is really great because you can special summon him by sending 1 extra deck monster, basically. It has to be a Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz or Link monster, and really in your opening play you're sending Link Haribo a lot of the time for the stone, so getting him on the field is not a problem. And his effect is that you can send 2 extra deck monsters with different names to the graveyard, and your opponent has to send 2 as well. So you're really limiting them, and you're making them, if they don't have an optimized extra deck, they're choosing what to play, and sometimes it won't be better than what you're controlling. We do have 3 Dragon Ravine. Again, pretty great at getting that, either that Jet or the Stone on the graveyard, and starting your combo from there. 2 Fusion deployment. My reasoning has not changed from the last profile. You run -1 to the amount of Blue Eyes that you're running. So running 3 Blue Eyes, I'm running 2 Fusion deployment. 2 triple attacks. One thing to note, I didn't mention it, but Fusion deployment does lock you out of fusioning, so you won't be able to like link off the stone if you use Fusion deployment. Just a heads up. 2 triple attacks, just because we do incorporate the Zombie Vampire in this build, and the Zombie Vampire is great. You mill the top 4 of your deck and their deck. If you get a stone, its effect goes live. If you get a Jet, its effect goes live. So, that's a great part of it. It doesn't negate the effects of the monsters that it mills. 2 Nadir Servant to search your Ecclesia or the other Dogmaticas, but 9 times out of 10 you're going with Ecclesia. From Ecclesia you're going into Punishment. That little combo line will probably never change, and it's really great. 1 Bingo Machine Go to search your Ultimate Fusion. And speaking of Ultimate Fusion, we have 2 Ultimate Fusions. Again, I'm only running 2 just because True Light searches it, Bingo Machine searches it, Chimera Fleecia searches it. You have a lot of monsters that are able to search this card. Not monsters, sorry, cards. So all in all, like just like the last one, you have like 5 copies of this, technically. So it's not a problem getting it and using it. 1 Polymerization, just because I am running Guardian Chimera, just because that card is so overpowered and broken, right? But honestly, you could switch this out for an extra Jet if you want that extra reliability. But yeah, 3 Skill Drain. Start us off with our traps. A lot of decks can play around this, and it is what it is. Activate during their standby, and they'll just probably set a card and pass and try to keep going from there. 2 goes in match. All your monsters are light. not a problem for you. If you run up against a Permanence, side this out for something else because all their monsters are water or a Flunderies. They're using nothing but wind monsters, I believe. So yeah, it works against most matchups. This card can easily be interchanged with there can be only one, so that limits to each player controlling one monster of each type. So yeah, like I said, they're interchangeable, and pretty much they're great at like controlling the field, right? One dogmatic punishment, search it out, and then so this is what I'm running right now: one punishment and two prison. You could honestly change it so you could running two punishment and one prison, but I like prison better just because it is the monster reborn of your deck, and while their effects are negated, you do get that non-targeting banishing the two monsters of the same type, right? So it's really great at getting rid of their monsters. Dogmatic punishment, you're running Neo ultimate and the regular ultimate dragon, so that's 45k attack, and you get to destroy any monster pretty much. Now we have three infinite impermanence. Once again, in my opinion, the best hand trap in the game and one of the best negates in the game. This is a going first deck. However, when you do end up losing that die roll and they go first, or they make you go second, the second match, you want to see one in your hand to stop them, right? And then, like I mentioned, we are maxing out on True Light. Really great card. It searches your bingos, searches the ultimate fusion, it searches anything. And three, your Omni negate. Really, as long as you control the blue eyes and you have this card set, you can negate the activation of any effect or a card. And then if they destroy this card, like if they use Twin Twisters and send this to the graveyard, you get to summon a non-effect extra deck monster, which you're summoning the ultimate dragon. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. Let's go on to the extra deck. Alright guys, to get started with the extra deck, we do have our first of the Xyz monsters, the Dragulian package, just because Blue Eyes and Jet are level 8s, and you know, it's really good alternative to have if you trying to get a Blue Eyes in the graveyard, or if you just want to OTK them, go for that 9k Dragulian and hit him for game. Now we are running one Zeus and one Zombie Vampire. Zeus, when you hit with your Glubion, you overlay with Zeus just because you do lose that 9k attack at the end of their next turn. And with Zombie Vampire is like one of the best cards that have been released in recent times, in my opinion, just because you're milling the top 4. It happened in my last locals that I took this deck to, where I used its effect and I got rid of the opponent milled one Ash and 2 Forbidden Droplets. So that's 3 negates that I got rid of because of the Zombie Vampire's effect. So, it's not just necessarily just for you to take control of, like, special summon one of their monsters or your monsters. It is also effectively just to get rid of any of their, like, hand traps or their negates. We are running 2 Tyrant. I chose 2 in this build just because I want to maximize being able to use them, right? Being able to recycle trap cards, being able to have a 34k body that's unaffected by skill drain or any other trap cards. And yeah, it's really easy to bring out just because you do shuffle back all the other cards. The ultimates, we have one Blue Eyes ultimate and one. This is just for if they destroy the tanky card, right? And this one, the Entis target, not Entis, sorry, Nadir target. So you send this to the graveyard and your Blue Eyes cards get that protection. And for the last Blue Eyes fusion, we do have Burst. Twin Burst Dragon, just because, it's Twin Burst Dragon. If you battle and they don't get destroyed, they end up getting banished. So really good card, and you don't need poly or like a fusion card. You could basically Xyz it like on the field by using 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons. So yeah, it's a really good card. We have Guardian Chimera, just because you are able to get a lot of monsters on your field, and you have poly and you have a Blue Eyes in your hand, and you're trying to get it to the graveyard. You don't do that. If you have a stone in the field, a Blue Eyes in your hand, and like any other monster in your hand, use super poly, not super poly, sorry, regular polymerization. Send the stone, the Blue Eyes, and the other monster. You get to pop a card, draw 2, and have this on the field. It's unaffected by card effects if as long as you have polymerization in the graveyard. So if you use like essentially if you use regular poly to get him out on the field, he gets card protection. We have your standard Nadir targets, right? Entis to pop a card, Chimera Flesia to get any fusion, Ultimate Fusion. You can also get fusion deployment, and yeah, just to have your plays go live. And finally, Win Pegasus, right, to shuffle that card back into their deck. And finally, Linkuriboh. You can change this out to Anima if you find that your opponent isn't really like playing. If your opponent is playing into the zones, get Anima on the field and take control of their monster. And yeah, that's it for the extra deck. Let's move on to the side. Alright guys, and to get us started with the side deck, we do have Summon Limit at 3. Now Summon Limit is a great card because if you already have your Jet on the field, but even if you don't, like, you're not really like doing a lot of summons on your turn, so it really is affecting them a lot more than it is you, especially if you already have Tyrant on the field. Like, you know, it won't really limit you. And then up next we have 3D Barrier. It is a trap card, so if you can go ahead and declare a fusion during their turn if you have Tyrant on the field, and it won't really do anything against you because, you know, like I mentioned before, Tyrant is unaffected by trap cards. So again, doesn't hurt you at all. It will stop their plays and will allow you like 100% keep that 34k beat stick on your side of the field for an extra turn, and then you can just swing for game the next round, right? 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. Just because the only spell card that you really need to use without setting is triple text. Dragon Ravine is a field spell, so even if you do need to set it first, like, go ahead. It baits them. They might think it's a Mystic Mine, and they'll get rid of it. If you're searching Bingo Machine Go, you're setting it anyways. Like, if you're searching it with True Light, you're gonna set it, so that doesn't really like affect you there. And Ultimate Fusion is a quick play spell, so you set it, use it during their turn. So once again, it doesn't really affect you, it affects them a lot more. 3 Twin Twisters for field spell removal, back row removal, anything. And it also, you know, discards a card, so it'll make the stone effect live if you discard the stone, or send Jet to the graveyard to start recycling him. And finally, we have 3 Forbidden Chalice. I only got it because they recently came in. And it's another great negate. That gaining the attack doesn't really bother you just because your monsters are like really up there in attack value. Blue is at 3k, Jet at 3k, Chimera is at 33, Tyrant is at 34. You know, doesn't really bother you. And it's a free negate, so quick play spell as well, so you don't really have to, like, it doesn't hurt you from Anti-Spell Fragrance. That is it with the side deck, y'all. Alright, y'all, thank you so much for watching and staying till the end of the video. If you like my content, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more. You know, this deck is really fun to play with just because you are summoning more than one Blue Eyes consistently and hitting them for game. So, you know, it's really great. That nostalgic factor to me is the reason why I play this deck and why I'm trying to make Blue Eyes like competitive. But yeah, that being said, I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful day.